Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about detailing your bike. Now this isn't going to be a complete walkthrough from getting a dirty bike to getting a showroom bike, because I'm going to skip what I consider to be the bare essentials, and that's just getting it clean. To me, detailing means taking something better than it was factory fresh. Now this is a factory fresh bike. This is literally out of the crate. There are no imperfections on this finish. There's no stain. There are no bugs, chips, cracks, scratches, nothing, okay? If you have a new vehicle, this video is for you. If you have a paint finish that needs some work, maybe it's just dull, maybe it's oxidized, maybe it has scratches, you can go and get some other tips for that to get it to this point. To me, getting a bike clean and just washing it, that's not detailing. That's just getting it clean and washing it. Getting it back to factory original, that's not detailing. That's just making it really nice, as good as it was when you got it. But to me, detailing is that extra step. Now what I mean by that is simply making the finish as perfect as possible, better than factory, and then applying layers of polish and wax. Polish and wax add depth, add gloss to your finish. They're exactly like the original paint finish, with a combination of the base coat, which is your color, and the clear coat that's on top of that, which is literally clear paint. What the clear paint does is gives you three-dimensional depth. It's what gloss is. Gloss is depth. A better term for gloss probably would have been deep. So if you think about, if you just had the color coat, that's called flat paint because it's two-dimensional. It looks like you're looking at a piece of paper. Gloss, or deep paint, has depth. That's what gloss is, that shine. You're looking at depth, looking down into the color. Well, we can do the same thing without having to paint the bike with more layers of clear coat by adding polish. That's what polish is. It's simply a temporary additional layer of gloss. And that's what makes the finish pop and really brings out colors, especially on cars or vehicles with lines and curves. Then on top of that, we're going to apply a single layer of wax. And the wax, although it does lend a little bit more polish to it, it's primarily for protection, to protect the layers of polish so they don't wear off. And it also protects your finish underneath from external contaminants like bird droppings or environmental rain contaminants and all that kind of stuff. The wax is there to take all that beating because wax is cheap. Wax is easy to take on and off. Paint's not. So what we'll be doing today is I'll show you how to take a bike from the starting point of being perfectly clean and then kicking it up a notch. It's really easy, it's really inexpensive. I went out, I did some shopping just for this video, so I'm gonna take you through everything you can do. You can buy all of this at Walmart. Now you can go crazy, you can go on the internet, and believe me, I've done this. I have used tons and tons of brands of stuff because I used to be absolutely a car nut when I had a lot more time in my life, like early 20s, and I had no problem spending 2 whole days, taking a whole weekend, just to make my car look cool, all right? That's awesome. If you have that time, I envy you. I don't have that kind of time anymore. So detailing now, it's not the bare minimum, but it's certainly not days and days of work, all right? This is gonna, if you're doing a bike, this whole procedure is under an hour, okay? And it's really a one-time thing for half of what I'm going to show you. If you're doing a car, obviously it's going to take longer, but the exact same steps. So the first thing we do is start with a bike that's perfectly clean. Now, perfectly clean after a wash isn't perfectly clean enough. The first thing we want to do is get off absolutely everything we can, and we do that very simply with a microfiber towel and detailing spray. Microfiber towels are important because they protect your finish. You don't want to use a regular cotton rag. You don't want to use anything with sharp seams or tags or anything like that. These are not expensive. I got a 2-pack of these for about $4 at Walmart. You'll find multiple types. There are lots of different kinds of microfiber textures. Look for one that says detailing or polishing or waxing, something like that. You'll find other ones that are for dusting or interior. It'll say dash or something like that. That's basically telling you that it has a different pile. The ones for detailing are kind of in the middle. They're not completely flat and smooth, but they're not super fluffy. you need a little bit of pile to help take up the dried wax and the dried polish and buff it to a shine. And the underside, it'll kind of be in between also, but that's really not important. The real only side we're going to be concerned with is the fluffy side. Very inexpensive. You also get these with a lot of products, and I'll take you through that too. The next thing we're going to do, after we make sure we're absolutely clean, which is very easy, is Claybar the car. Now Claybars, I got this kit here to show you. You can buy them separately, or you can buy these all-in-one kits. And these are really cool because they save you a few bucks, basically. You get 3 different products in this particular box. You can get them in tons of different brands. This happens to be McGuire's. You can get Mother's, whatever you want. You can go online. Like I said, I used a great brand online. I believe it was called Zeno. It's been many years since I bought it, but it did a fantastic job. It was super expensive. And here's another tip for you. I don't find, in my opinion, a huge difference between the major brands. As long as it's not some, cheesy all-in-one, lasts 100 car washes kind of one step in a bottle crap, that doesn't compare. That might protect your car well enough against bird droppings and stuff like that, but it doesn't compare in the visual results. You need separate layers of polish and wax. You don't want an all-in-one thing. It's no different than getting the rinse with wax at the spray car wash, It looks good for 5 minutes, but that's about it. So clay barring, this is a step that most people have no idea about. Most people never do their vehicle, but it's only because they don't know that it's easy and why they should do it. Clay pulls out the contaminants that are in the paint. This is something that every single vehicle has. I don't care if it's a Ferrari, it's going to have contaminants in the paint. And it's simply from the manufacturing process. Now bikes, not nearly as bad, and here's why. Most bikes have a very short time from assembly to customer, even if it's a Harley built in the US, where it might be transported by truck. Bikes in Japan, they're typically assembled, put into a crate immediately, put in a shipping container, they come over here, they sit in a warehouse, they come out at the dealer, get assembled, and they're in the customer's hands. Very little touches this paint. You have the air inside the crate, it's usually covered, that's about it. Cars are especially bad because of the transport. When you have a car assembly line, be it in Canada or Mexico or overseas or in the South, those cars get transported by rail and they get transported by truck. Now some of the better brands will put a plastic sheeting over the major panels, but it doesn't cover everything, and a lot of car companies don't do that, especially the American companies. What happens is all the environmental contaminants settle on the fresh paint. Pollen, rail dust, that's a big one. If the car is transported by train, you will have rail dust in your paint. And you can feel it. You can put your hand on a vehicle, and if it doesn't feel exactly like a sheet of glass, like a mirror, perfectly smooth, you have contaminants. You'll probably feel lots of little bumps. You won't see them, but you'll feel them all right. And another thing you can do is take a rag, and if this is the hood of a car, just toss it on the hood of a car. If it's factory fresh, it'll go like this, and just stop. If it's been clay barred, it'll go whoosh, and keep on trucking. Because after you clay bar a vehicle, it is perfectly glass smooth. The clay is like Play-Doh. They'll come in a container. This was inside the Claybar kit. Sometimes they'll be in a box, sometimes in a little screw can, doesn't matter. It'll be in a container. The container is important because you must keep these clay bars clean. That is the #1 thing you can do to prolong the life of your clay bar, is keep it in the container and clean. Here's another tip. Take some saran wrap, spritz it with detailer, and wrap this in the saran wrap before you put it in the container, because it will dry out a little bit and stick to the sides, and that just makes it easy to pull out next time. You'll typically get 2 clay bars whenever you buy them. They give you 2 because, well, you're probably going to eventually goof on one of them. And by goof, I mean drop it on the floor or the ground. As soon as this touches the ground, you must throw it out. It is done, because this picks up absolutely everything it touches, and it stays in here. There's no way to get dirt out. You can't wash them. And if you had dirt in here and then tried to Claybar your vehicle, guess what? You just Brillo pad your vehicle, all right? So take care of your Claybars. What I like to do for smaller projects like a bike is just break off a little chunk, and you want to squish it into a little pad about the size of the palm of your hand. And take the rest, put it in this container here, keep it nice and safe, set it down. It's very pliable, pretty much like Play-Doh or silly putty. You don't want it super thin, like you can punch a hole through it. You just want it workable, all right? Just enough to work in the tip of your fingers. That's it. For a car, you can leave the Claybar intact so you have a bigger swath to work with, because obviously you're working with a bigger section of paint. Also in the box, you'll find another microfiber towel. Pretty much the same thing, it's just a detailing microfiber towel. And we're going to use that just for one step of this. You want a separate microfiber towel for every separate thing you do. And then lastly, in the box, you get a spray bottle of Quick Detailer. And this might be called slightly different things, but they're basically all the same. It's a very diluted polish in the bottle. And this is for lubrication. We're also going to use it to clean the bike before and after cleaning, but this really is a no work kind of thing. The main purpose of this is simply to provide lubrication for this sliding over the paint. Because if you try to slide this over the paint, it's just going to smear. You know, it's going to stick. That doesn't do anything. But when you apply just a little spritz, what this does is glides over the surface and pulls things out, pretty much like a Biore strip, and sucks it right out of the paint, traps it in the Claybar. Now on a bike, we're not going to get much out of this, like I said, because there isn't much in the paint. On a car, you're going to get a lot more, and by a lot more I mean 4 to 5 times, and you'd want to fold this over onto a clean section, kind of like folding over a towel if you're buffing to a clean section, and keep the major dirt kind of folded inside. Not really important on a bike, but on a car it is. Just a little tip there. So before we Claybar, we have to make sure that it is clean as possible. I'm going to set this down again, and I'm going to grab one of the microfiber towels. We're going to use our Quick Detailer that came in the Claybar kit, and simply go around the bike. Now this is clean, you have to wash it first. Just give each section a quick spritz and wipe it down. What that's going to do is take off all the dust, all the surface contaminants that would just be stuck in the Claybar unnecessarily. That's it. We shouldn't be at this point taking off anything hard like bird droppings or stain or dirt or mud. That needs to happen before this step when you're washing the bike. Okay? So the Quick Detailer and the microfiber towel, just go around the whole bike, and that's it. All right, just a little bit. You don't need to soak it down or anything like that. I'm going to go ahead and continue on, get the whole bike. It's only going to take me a couple minutes, and then we'll be ready to start Claybarring. Okay, got the bike all nice and as clean as possible. We're ready to Claybar. Now the surface feels pretty darn good. Just a few little contaminant bumps that I can feel here and there. Really not that bad, but we're going to make it better, all right? The point of this is to make as perfect platform for the polish and wax as possible. This is not 100% necessary, but it does make a difference that you can see, certainly that you can feel. And I recommend it because it really is no extra work. This is a simple, fast, easy step. This whole kit will cost you 20 bucks. It's worth it. This is going to last you 100 bikes. You only have to do this once per vehicle. As long as you keep a layer of polish and wax on it, no contaminants will be getting back in the paint. So it's a one-time thing, no big deal. You might have a buddy that already bought one of these kits and has the extra Claybar. borrow a little chunk of his. Well, not borrow, it's not like you're going to give it back. Use a chunk of his. All right, point is, the 2 clay bars that come in this kit can do a fleet of motorcycles, and that's no joke. To use it, we want to just wet down a section, do a small section at a time, half a tank or so. Put the clay bar on, being very careful to have a grip on it so it doesn't fall. And then rather lightly, you don't have to press down, pretty much the weight of your hand, that's as much pressure as you need. Do some back and forth motions, and it only takes, in this case, 1 or 2 swipes, and it's done. What I'm feeling is initially a little bit of resistance. You know, it's like, that's exaggerated, but you get the idea. I can feel it pulling the stuff out of the paint. And then it only takes literally 1 or 2 swipes. Like, I feel it, and it's gone. And then it glides perfectly smoothly because you now have a perfectly smooth surface. This is all you have to do. You go over every inch of the painted surfaces, making sure that they are lubricated. Don't worry about this stuff dripping down because we are going to wipe it off as soon as we're done. And this will leave a little bit of clay residue on the paint. Again, gets wiped right off when we're done. Nothing to worry about there. The only important thing is make sure that you have that little layer of lubrication, because it doesn't work dry. It just makes a mess. It doesn't pull anything out. So I'm going to go ahead now and finish the rest of the bike. It is literally going to take me 10 minutes. You can see I'm about a quarter of the way done here already. It's already making a difference. Don't go in circles, just go in straight lines. Doesn't matter what direction lines you go in, but you just want the contaminants to be pulled out in a straight line and trapped in the clay. And that's it. Okay, whole bike is clay barred. Just a few minutes worth of work. Not a huge difference, not gonna lie, but now we know it's done, okay? Now we're ready to really start making it look good. To get all this residue, the quick detailer and the clay residue off, just use more spritzes of your detailer, little dab will do ya. And I'm using the microfiber cloth that came in the clay bar kit. We're just gonna wipe everything off. The point is to get off any kind of stains or water spotting from that last step. It's not gonna leave anything big. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of the bike here, and we'll be ready for the next step. All right, now we're ready for the real work, and that's putting on the polish and wax. Again, bike, really small surface area, not a big deal. I do them by hand, simply because there are so many nooks, crannies, creases, and curves in this that if I use a machine such as my orbital polisher here, you end up having to spend so much time doing parts by hand anyway, it doesn't save you any time using and cleaning the machine, using up more product. On a car, that's perfectly fine. But even on this big bike, the only large sections I have are a few little flat spots on the tank and a few flat spots on the sides of the panel. What's this gonna take me? I mean, seriously, an extra 10 seconds? Don't bother with the machine, in my opinion, for doing a bike. It's not gonna hurt anything doing it either way, but I'm saving time doing it by hand. So there you go. Now, as far as products, again, really doesn't matter as far as the brand name, in my opinion. You can get some crazy stuff online. You can go to Walmart and get any of the major brands, any auto store, any of the major brands. The only thing you want to look out for is get a separate polish and a separate wax. I don't suggest the ones that are all in one bottle or the ones that are saying they're good for 100 car washes or anything like that. A lot of them, you're going to see wax in a bottle. I prefer wax in a can. I prefer a paste wax. simply because I get a better application and I think it gives a better result. It's no difference in cost. Your polish is going to come in one bottle. There's nothing special about it. This is just like putting on extra layers of clear coat paint. In my opinion, there are diminishing returns that stack up very quickly by doing multiple layers of polish. Yes, it does make a difference. Yes, it's going to cost a lot of time. And is there a huge difference between one layer and 10? Not a huge difference. You can see it. If you want to spend 10 times the amount of time to do it, I admire you. I don't have that kind of time. So I'm doing one layer of polish and one layer of wax. And that is going to give beautiful results and a great amount of effort. Wax is the last step. Now, you can get, again, any of the major brands. The only thing I suggest is you get a paste wax. They're all going to be Carnauba paste wax. They're going to come in a can or a jar. This one happened to come with another microfiber towel. Same product, just a different color, just to help you keep them straight, because you don't want to mix ones between ones you used for clay barring, ones used for polish, and ones used for wax. So I have all my separate towels here. And here's another tip. Keep a regular towel out here for you. Because if you're like me and you sweat a lot, and you're going to be putting some elbow grease into this, especially in these next steps, you don't want sweat getting on your finish while you're trying to work, especially while you're trying to polish. You don't want added moisture hitting the product. So just keep a towel handy to dry yourself off. Here's another big tip. You must absolutely be doing this in the shade, and the paint must be cool. You can't do this if the vehicle has been sitting out in the sun. You can't do it in the sun. You can't do it if everything is hot. Like if you just came back from a ride, forget about it. Let it cool down for at least a few hours. If you are in an apartment complex and you're trying to do this outside in the wind, forget about it. Okay? That's just my opinion. I feel sorry for everybody that has to live and do this kind of stuff in an apartment complex. I know the perils. In my 20s, I lived in 13 different apartment complexes. I know every bad thing about doing that as far as vehicles go. I've been written up for doing car repairs and car maintenance. Just putting vinyl stripes on my wife's car. I got notice for that. I've had vehicles stolen out of the parking lot. I've had vehicles broken into, windows smashed, cell phones taken, money. I mean, you name it. We had a jet ski stolen. I mean, you name it, it's happened to us in apartments, all right? They suck. There's nothing you can do about it. So take it to a buddy's house. Take it to anywhere that's covered outside of the wind before you try to do this. Because if you're in the middle of applying product and there's stuff blowing around, guess where it's going? Right in your finish. Okay, there's no point in doing that. Back on topic, paste waxes. They come in a can or a jar. Oh, that is a beautiful smell. It's like a combination of Hawaiian Tropic suntanning lotion, fresh tires, and some kind of wood. It's just, or a candle, like a candle you just snuffed out. That carbon wax smell, mostly Hawaiian Tropic, coconut. Love that. So, in the kit you will have some type of applicator. This one is on the lid here. Get off. Come on. There we go. It's got a little protective plastic cover. And then it's going to be some sort of sponge applicator pad. You can also use a microfiber towel if you wish to apply it with that, but the sponge is a little bit better to help work the product in. There's nothing special about this, but again, same tip with the Claybar. If you drop this on the ground, especially if it has product on it, throw it out. It's done. All right, don't even try to wash it because there's going to be contaminants stuck in here. It stays in here pretty good. Just get a new one. These are like $2 to replace. Okay, no big deal. And then it goes back in the lid. And after you're done, make sure that you do wipe it off, keep it clean for the next time, and you can just simply reuse it as you need to. So I'm going to put this back together because we will be ready for the wax after we polish. There we go. All right, the polishing, really easy. I'm going to grab the other clean microfiber towel. And another tip with these, make sure you take off the tags, because you just don't want this dragging on your finish or your vehicle while you're trying to buff something out. Not that the tag is likely to scratch anything, but you know what? A little plastic or whatever polyester tag is a lot harder than a nice soft microfiber towel, so just do yourself a favor. Also, when you get these brand new, they're going to have lint on them like a mofo. Shake them off real well. Get all the lint off. Make sure it is away from the vehicle when you do so. Make sure you don't have it on yourself. I think I just did. So make sure that the towels are absolutely ready to go. Polish is really easy to put on. You need to make sure that you mix it very well. Just like a paint, shake this sucker up for at least 30 seconds. Doesn't take a whole lot to put it on a vehicle. I mean, this is really as easy as it gets. Make sure I don't have a little cardboard thing to take off, and I do. We'll open this up. Be careful not to go blop all over the vehicle. Okay. We're simply going to apply a little bit of product. You can either do it directly on the vehicle if it's in a safe spot where it's not going to run down, or you can just apply a little bit to your cloth. You can also use an applicator pad. I have them, but you know what? They don't really give any better benefits, and they're kind of hard to wash because they're basically a sponge with a cotton outer covering. It's the same surface as one of these. So I just like to fold my towel up a little bit just to get a small controllable surface, just like this. All right, I've just basically made myself an applicator sponge out of a towel. That's it. Now, because the bike has so many vertical surfaces, I do tend to prefer to put it on the towel itself. Start out with a small little bit. Just spread it around a little bit. And then work it in a circular pattern. Apply some good pressure, but you don't want to be, trying to grind it in. You're not cutting the paint. You're not trying to take out swirls. You're applying this to the surface, and you just want it to go to a slight haze. All right, you're not trying to buff it off. You want it to sit here on the surface. So when you see it starting to get real light, that's when you need some more. And the first few times you apply this to the areas, it's going to take more than you think, because this is going to absorb quite a bit. But you want to be able to see the swirls where you're leaving the product. I like to go over it with some pressure so I know it's actually getting applied, and then go over it with a much lighter pressure just so I can see the swirls. It lets me know that that area has been done and is ready to go. So you can see it's taking quite a bit here just at the start. Polish smells good too. Okay, and that's all there is to applying it. But you do want to make sure that you give good pressure to every little square inch, because without the pressure, basically we're doing what the machine would do. It won't stick. It'll just slide right off, and that doesn't really give me any benefit. Okay, so just hit the painted areas. You get this on your seat or your plastics, it'll wipe right off. You don't have to worry about that, but don't apply it purposely to anything except paint. Plastic or metal is just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the rest of the bike, and then we will be ready to start taking this off. You know what? I'm just going to do the tank right now for this demo. But the rest of the areas, exactly the same way. I'll do those after this video just to speed things up. And I'll show you the difference on the tank itself. Alright, our product is applied. Now, one thing you have to pay attention to is the instructions on your particular polish. Some will say, let the product dry. It'll say, usually let it dry to a haze and then buff it off. Some, the better ones in my opinion, say do not let it dry. You want to apply it, and as soon as you're done applying it to an area, you buff it right off because it is already set on your finish, and by letting it dry to a haze, it is simply going to be a lot harder to take off because it'll want to stick. This one says, take it off as soon as you're done. So what I'm going to do is fold my towel over to dry sections and buff it off. You want to buff it in circular motions. Oh my God, I can already see. I'll show you the difference here just between these two panels. This one I just did and this one that I didn't yet. It is already really bringing out the candy in this red. It's popping a little bit more. I mean, I can see it right now as I am buffing this off. Making a very visible difference. And of course, baby bottom smooth because we did the Claybar, which makes it look all the more better. Looks like a red mirror. All right, I'm going to keep going here. Get everything wiped off and buffed. If your towel starts to get too moist, just keep flipping it to a drier section. That's the only thing important here is that it is a dry section. It'll obviously be taking up the product, so it will get wet after a little bit, and then it'll start to just streak. So you want to make sure that you're always doing it with a dry section. And sometimes the undersides of these, because they are a flatter pile, will buff it off easier than the fluffy side. Either one will do the job, but sometimes this is just a little bit quicker. I'm going to go ahead and switch towels here to another one, another clean one, because that one was too wet. I'm going to take off my tag. Never used this one before. There we go. You can feel it when it starts to get wet. When it's dry, this is super easy. Pulls it right off. When it's wet, kind of, you can feel it dragging, kind of like you're applying it again, because that's pretty much what you're doing. So I'm going to finish taking off this tank here. Then I'll show you the difference so far, and then we'll hit up the last step, waxing for protection and a little bit more gloss. So here we can see the difference. Look at the difference in just the reflection of that overhead light. You can see on the right, it's just a little bit more shiny. And it looks like there's a depth. It looks like you can see into the paint a little bit more. It's not bad on the left, but it's not quite as good as that on the right. I'll tell you what, in person, and especially when this is going to hit the sun, big difference. I really can't communicate how the difference looks here on camera. This kind of comparison is really good for doing paint restoration, but when you're just taking it to that slightly better level, it's obvious to the eye, but not to the camera. But trust me, there is a lot more shine on the right because we just did the polish. And let's go ahead and do the wax. Now our wax is essentially the same process. We put it on, and again, check the instructions for your particular product. I'm going to read you what this one says. Directions for glossy paint finishes only. Duh. Using the included applicator found on the lid, spread a thin, even coat over the entire vehicle. A second pass is recommended to ensure complete coverage. On a bike, again, not so much an issue. It's not like you're going to be missing panels. But that is a good tip for doing large cars, especially in bright light. It can be very difficult to make sure you get every little nook and cranny. But on a bike, one is more than good enough. You can, again, apply this with a machine, but again, on a bike, really not much of a point in my opinion, so we're going to be doing it by hand. Apply it, let it dry to a haze, then remove with the microfiber towel. Keep off of vinyl, plastic, rubber, or other materials, such as chrome. So this is for paint only, unlike the polish. What we're going to do is take our applicator, using the underside, which is the smoother side, and it is like a wax, okay? It's not super runny. It's basically like a half melted candle consistency. It stays in the can, it's not going to run anywhere, but you do have to kind of work it into the sponge, okay? And as you apply pressure in the can here, it comes off a little bit easier, but you don't want to try to dig it. Just work it into a sponge. A little goes a long way. This is not like the polish where you need globs of it, all right? This is good enough. What we're going to do, same dealio. And again, I'll do the tank here, and then I'll show you the comparison to this other section. We want to work it in. This is actually a little bit thick, so I'm going to spread it out here. You don't want it this thick. You just want a very thin, hazy coverage, all right? And I'm just going to spread it. What you saw here, this is the whole tank. This is all we need. Very, very, very thin layer. This wax is not working for us. It is simply being applied. We are not repairing anything. We're not getting out scratches. This is only for a top layer of protection on top of polish. And it's going to give us one more layer of gloss. All right, so here we go. This is a good thin layer. Now again, we want to work it in a circular pattern just like we did with the polish. Moderate pressure. You don't want to be trying to, scrape the paint. You don't want to hear it squeaking like Just work it in, slowly go over every single inch. Don't worry about it getting on your emblems and stuff like that. It comes right up. But you do want to keep it off plastic and keep it off your seat. And by plastic, they mean things like this glove box and this panel here. They don't mean painted plastic. They mean just straight, plain plastic. This is fine. This is painted plastic. No problem. It'll wipe right off. You won't even see it. So I'm going to keep going here. Finish off the tank. And then we are going to let it dry to a haze. Now that will vary depending on the product, depending on your environmental conditions, how humid it is and how hot it is. But it must be dry to the touch before you try to take it off. And it's real easy to tell. You touch it. If it's at all wet, nope, keep waiting. Might take 15 minutes, might take 30 minutes. In extreme conditions, might take an hour. Okay, so after this, go have yourself a drink. Me, I'm going to go have a delicious hard cider. Oh, interesting little story there. I guess I'll keep talking while I do the other side. My wife and I went with some other friends to a new restaurant in Tampa, and for the life of me, I can't remember the whole name. It's something like Edison's Laboratory. It's kind of themed around Thomas Edison, and it's one of those gastro, new age, not new age, but real fancy eateries where they do things with liquid nitrogen and all kinds of different food combinations that you would never think of. And it was fantastic. The food, it was the best New York strip I have ever had in my life. Prices were reasonable, so if you're ever in the Tampa area, look that place up and give them a shot. Their menu is constantly revolving. Every week or two, it's completely different. The two head chefs were head chefs at the best steakhouse in Tampa, Burns, and they opened this place up just a little bit ago. Absolutely fantastic. But what I was coming to is, the wife isn't really a beer lover or wine lover, and I am, so I had some really good craft beers. What they have for their drink menu are things from all over the country. Lots of little craft breweries, and one of them was a pear cider. So the wife tried that and absolutely loved it. Really wasn't for me, kind of tasted like a wine cooler, but it was a sweet cider, great pear taste. It was very carbonated, served in this huge tall glass full of ice. So I've been getting lots of different ciders for her to try when I see them when I'm out. And I got this sampler pack the other day from Angry Orchard. Now they're apple ciders, they didn't have pear, but they have different types of apple cider. And one of them in there, it was an apple ginger cider. Absolutely phenomenal. So if you find that, even if you're not a cider fan, and I can't say I am, it is awesome. It's like a combination of a real twangy cider and ginger ale. Just beautiful. Give that a shot. Alright, I am done applying the wax. Talked a little bit long, overdid it there a bit, but that doesn't hurt anything. Now I'm going to go ahead and let it dry. And after that's done drying, we're going to buff it off, and then I'm going to show you the finished product. Super easy. If I wasn't sitting here talking, this whole bike would have been done, dried, and buffed by now. Half an hour tops, all right? Not a big deal. This is just an excellent way to step up your game, really impress people, and impress yourself. Take some time to improve your vehicles, minimal effort, great results. Come on, why not do it? If you have the means, if you have the space, definitely worth it. Okay, I'll be back in a bit. And here we are about 20 minutes later. The wax has dried. You'll know it's done when it's kind of like a dusty consistency. It will come off with a light wipe of your finger. You'll be able to see it come right off. Shouldn't smear at all. If any part of it feels pasty, keep waiting. That's how you know it's done. If you have areas that are kind of goopy, keep waiting. Okay, it's unlikely that you're going to get a completely even coverage, so just wait until the heavier areas are completely dry. Use, again, a clean microfiber towel. I'm using the one that came in the wax kit. That's why it's nice to get those kits. You don't have to buy extra towels. You've got one for each particular step. And again, same thing we did, taking off the polish. Just give it a nice, easy wipe down. Make sure you get in all the little creases and crevices where you might have gone around emblems, for example, because you don't want this wax drying very hard. Now there's a little bit in here that was still wet just in this crease. That's okay. We're just going to get it out and flip to a dry section. You don't have to wait just for that. But you don't want this to dry to anything more than you need, because if that happens, then you're going to have a heck of a time trying to get it off. It'll set, and it'll kind of set up like a mild concrete after a while. Now if you have parts like down in here where the applicator ended, it's a little hard to get in there, you might have to flip to a thinner section of towel. Get in there with your fingertips. Make sure you get off every bit of that wax. Do not let any of it dry where you can see it. Take it completely off the paint. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and I'll show you the final results. Boom, done. Super easy. This is now, make sure your fingers are dry if you're going to touch it. Oh, absolutely mirror smooth. Looks great, and it's protected. What a difference. This towel just slides over this. It's like it's wet. That is how much of a difference it has. Just phenomenally slippery. Love it. Let me show you the difference here. Again, you're not going to be able to tell as much from a video as in person. But it is a lot deeper in appearance. It has just absolutely wet look to it. Not that the unfinished factory fresh is bad, but I mean, you can see the difference there. It's more mirror-like. And that's all there is to it. So there you go, guys. Hope this has helped you out. Don't be afraid to put a little effort into your bike. Make it look better. Keep it protected. And it will serve you for many years to come. You only have to do this about once a year, and I don't mean the Claybar part. I mean, when you're ready to reapply everything, all you have to do is wash the bike. And in fact, it doesn't take anything special to completely strip this stuff off. All you need is some plain old Dawn. Wash the bike in that, and it will strip away the polish and wax, and you'll be ready to put on new layers. Boom. Easy peasy. Thanks for watching, guys. If this has helped you out, spread the word. The more the site grows, better stuff I can do for you. Don't forget to subscribe. Give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you next time.